Mic'd up.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Weekly, an IU sports talk show hosted right here on Mic'd Up. My name is Gabe Jenkins, and joining me today is Campbell Manahan. How we doing?
Oh, we're doing phenomenal in the great city of Bloomington, Indiana. Just having a lot of fun. We both went home this past weekend for Easter
Yeah,
weekend. That was
yeah,
a lot of fun. Then coming back, getting classes in, looking at our classes for next semester, starting to plan that out. That's a lot of fun.
yeah,
But just ultimately, I think it's a good sports time. A lot of good sports just wrapped up, especially with I had the great experience. I got to go to the Final Four games and the championship game.
yeah.
Just a wild time and a wild experience that I got to participate in, and, I mean, let's talk about I think the Final Four delivered. It was a lot of fun. Now, I
Oh yeah.
probably had a little bit more fun just being in. I probably treat it like the games are better than maybe they actually were because I was in the
Yeah.
atmosphere, but just I think it was a pretty good Final Four, and I think we should start with talking about the Saturday games, not talking about the championship game yet.
Yeah.
Um, right away, the first game was that Illinois UConn game. Do you have any thoughts about that one?
I mean, it was such a close game. This game, it didn't feel like it was ever completely out of reach, but UConn definitely had the power there. And UConn,
Yes.
you're going into this game, you're like, man, UConn just put up a real good, assertive win, but not like dominating blowout win. You're like UConn's pretty good. Whoever wins this next game this is gonna be a great national championship because UConn has just had a terrific game against Illinois, and I mean
Absolutely.
the rebounds were going. Both teams were great at the rebounds. But also UConn had 14 assists that game compared to Illinois'
Yes.
three. I
And that's
mean,
the key
wow,
takeaway right there.
wow.
Illinois, just on offense, UConn took away their ability to pass the ball. They they were switching on everything. There was no open passes. There was no like there was nothing to like drive into the lane and then kick out to an open three-pointer. That did not happen ever for Illinois. Every bit of offense that Illinois had, they had to create through like isolation play or posting up, which worked to an extent, except for the fact that they only scored 62 points in this game. If you go back and look at what Illinois does throughout the season offensively, they are the number one offense all season long. They have been the best offense. This is how they made the Final Four. They score points. This is a dynamic offense that's so efficient, can shoot and hit a lot of threes. They move the ball really well, and UConn just did not let them get going. Throughout this season, Illinois' two lowest scoring performances this year was UConn in the Final Four and UConn back in November.
Yeah.
So there's
What?
something about Dan Hurley and his UConn defense that Illinois just cannot solve.
Well, there's also the turnovers for both teams under 10. Terrific job by them. UConn only had 4 turnovers the entire game. That is an extremely low number, especially when compared to 8. It's like they just used all of their opportunities so well. Their shooting percentages is fairly solid. I They had such a great game using what they had.
I mean, absolutely. They took more shots in the game than Illinois took. They made a higher percentage of those shots, not by much, granted, but a little bit higher. They made a higher percentage of their free throws when given free throw opportunity. And I didn't think the disparity was that much. It was 23 free throws for Illinois, 17 for UConn. That's pretty even, all things considered. But given that they made 88% of those free throws, very good. They moved the ball up air. They turned the ball over more while not turning it over themselves, like basically ever. They slowed the game down and played it to their tempo, and they got the win. It and they Illinois had chances late in that game to win, but it never felt like UConn wasn't comfortable. They were always in control and they always had Illinois right where they wanted them to be, which is just like at a two-score lead, granted, but they just kept them at a little bit of arm's distance the entire second half.
Yeah, and then the next game, number 1 seed Michigan, number 1 seed Arizona, built to be a matchup of the year of sorts.
Yeah,
And then the game happens and it finishes 91 to 73. Absolute blowout.
Yeah.
Uh, Arizona just did not have an answer to anything Michigan was doing offensively or defensively to stop them. I mean, percentage wise here, Michigan shot 11% better with the same amount of shots. Uh, this team just absolutely was electric, killing them.
Yeah.
Not even really killing them on rebounds, but they just did so much more with what they had.
And
Uh,
yeah, and I would say the only reason Arizona actually out rebounded Michigan was just like because they needed it. That
yeah,
it was towards like at one point Michigan was up like 25 and could have been up 30 if they wanted to keep pushing the gas, but they were like, "Hey, we're going to have another game to play here." Arizona's now fighting for their lives. They offensive rebound it really well. Other than giving up offensive rebounds, I don't think Michigan did anything poorly all game. And
I mean,
the most interesting part of all of this is the Big Ten Player of the Year, All American, Yaxel Lendeborg, goes out. Well,
yeah,
okay, immediately goes out with foul trouble, gets 2 fouls within the first, like, 3
mhm,
minutes of the game, is sitting on the bench. Once he comes back in, he hurts his knee and his calf,
yeah,
goes to the locker room, does come back at half, starts out the game, and hits some threes. Like, he went 3 for 3 from 3, scored 11 points in only 14 minutes, used the minutes he had, but he could not move. You could tell while watching him, he couldn't run the way he normally can. He couldn't do a thing. And Michigan was perfectly fine without him. I would like to
yeah,
shout out Ade Mara had his career high night, 26 points on 11 for 16 shooting, 4 for 4 from free
yeah,
throws. He had 9 rebounds, so 1 board shy of the double double, 2 blocks. Just so while he's the best defensive player on the court whenever he's on the court. He always is. He's been the best defensive player all year in college basketball. And he adds 26 points of scoring to that. He was
yeah,
unstoppable. And then the other thing I would like to shout out is Elliot Cadeau had 10 assists in this game. He had 5 for 17 shooting, but that's not really the truest of stories because what they did in this game was Michigan went into the film room and noticed Arizona's really big, and they were worried that the lobs to Ademara weren't going to be as easy to throw because Arizona has a 7'2" monster in the middle with Krivas. So it's not going to be easy to throw it in. And they changed this up, the way they threw the lob. Elliot Cadeau was throwing lobs off the glass, and those
yeah,
lobs would count as layups, basically. Like, it's
mm,
not going to count as an assist for him. It's going to count as a
yeah,
missed shot and then a rebound for Ademara. But in reality, that was a pass off the glass to him, and then he would Ademara would just tip it back in because he's the only one there to rebound. And I thought that was just a brilliant wrinkle that Michigan threw in there. And I mean, that was their first play of the game. They started off right with that. They continued it throughout the game. Arizona had no answer for whatever Michigan wanted all game in this one.
yeah. And I think the other thing is that Lindenborg wasn't the only one in foul trouble, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. I mean, there
No,
was it
Morrow
Burnett?
went out in foul trouble early, and so did Merez Johnson.
Yeah, this team was out many players, but it never felt like they were out of any players. It
Yeah,
felt like every
exactly.
player was a starter, and they were just shooting and moving the ball perfectly,
Yeah.
and it was just a perfect game. And then that kind of continues into Michigan UConn, where they
Okay.
were both of those teams, Michigan and UConn, played elite games. And I mean, 69 to 63, that doesn't happen by one team being significantly better or worse than the other.
Mhm.
These teams are so statistically comparable, and just really came down to the wire there at the end. Like there was like 40 seconds left, and you're like, yeah, I get it could still happen. I mean, but at that point, Michigan had came away with a tremendous victory.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And this was a night where defenses shined. And this game, the entire game was played on UConn's terms. If you would ask Dan Hurley before this game, how are you planning on playing against this Michigan team that just can outrun everyone out while also playing elite defense and being physical? Dan Hurley would say, all right, we're going to try to just slow this team down, which they did. They slowed the game down to UConn's pace. And then we're going to hope that Michigan misses 3 pointers. And Michigan missed a lot of 3 pointers, 2 for 15 from 3 point. That's 13%. That is a terrible shooting night from beyond the arc for Michigan. They hit one of those threes in the final minute, which was the dagger that Trey McKinney hit off the bench.
Yeah.
But most of the game, Michigan could just not hit a 3 pointer. UConn didn't shoot it tremendous from three, but they still made 9 of them. So that's 7 more 3 pointers they made. They would have been like, we're going to play extremely physical defense, slow the game down, and hope they miss threes. That's what they did. They played the game dictated on UConn's terms, and Michigan did it better still.
Yeah.
Michigan was okay with the fact that they played on UConn's terms, which is not a thing they should be okay with. They should be wanting to play on their own terms. In that Arizona game, which they played on Michigan's terms, they had 22 assists. UConn held them to only 7 assists.
Mm.
Basically did what they did to Illinois, where they limited all the passing, made Michigan become an isolation offense.
Hmm.
And it just didn't matter. Like, it mattered somewhat. I think if Michigan plays this game in their style, they probably win by 20.
Hmm.
UConn kept it close by playing on their style, but Michigan still can't clawed out with in a very impressive victory.
Yeah.
And I think the statistic that really you have to look at as the reason you win this game is the fact that UConn was playing extremely physical and was hoping for some free throw misses. This is basically what they were hoping for.
Hmm.
They sent to the line 28 times, and Michigan came up with 25 makes in that. That is a wildly impressive number. And 20 of those came in a row, by the way. They had two
Yeah.
misses down the stretch where
Yeah.
they almost threw the game away because they missed free throws down the stretch. But
Hmm.
25 for 28 from free throws in this stage, that's just tremendous. The moment did not get too big.
Yeah, and I know you weren't there, or you were there, so you
Mhm.
did not hear the TV broadcast. The broadcast said he was about to say the number in a row, and he goes, "Wait, no, let me hold on before he shoots this, so I don't jinx it." And he didn't
That's
jinx
funny.
it by saying that, but like they were counting on the broadcast. They're like, they've hit 20 in a
They
row
just
now.
keep making these free throws.
They have not missed their free throws, and then eventually they did at the end there. But
But it didn't
89%
matter
from three
enough.
from free throws, yeah, and it's just absolutely perfect for what you need. I mean, UConn fouled 22 times to Michigan fouling 13. You wonder how
Mhm.
much that is in the final 2 minutes that adds on to that tally. Otherwise, that would be probably a much closer statistic. Um, but I mean, these are two incredible teams that had incredible seasons. There shouldn't be much disappointment on UConn's side. They played a great
Yeah.
game and they were so close to pulling it
No.
off.
This UConn team, let's not mistake this. This is not the UConn team that went back to back championships. This UConn team is not as talented as that team was. They're not as good. But what they do is they have this system where they slow a team down, they play great defense, and
Yeah,
they trust the fact that they will win the game tight. It will probably be close. They know their games are going to come down to the wire, but they just trust the fact that they're going to eventually overcome that and win at the very like in the last minute. That's their goal really. Is we're going to like they did against Duke. They won the last minute. This is what their goal is. That the way they played this game, you just have like if you are UConn, sure you lost the game, but you are holding your head up high because you
yeah,
did a very impressive thing. I mean they're a 2 seed, so they're not bad, but all year long, Michigan and Arizona and Duke have been the top 3 teams. It's been pretty clear. And Michigan beat Arizona by like 20. So Michigan pretty much took the throne of the top
yeah,
team after that moment. That was right when it was like, okay, Michigan's legit. They're heavy favorites in this game. And UConn
yeah.
had a chance there at the end. This team overcame a lot. I'd like to shout out Terrace Reed was just phenomenal all tournament long. He started out the tournament against a 15 seed of Furman with I think it was like 31 points, 27 rebounds, or something stupidly insane like that. Um, but he had a great tournament. He made the all tournament team for a reason. And then if we're also shouting at the all tournament team, you have to look. The most outstanding player in this tournament was awarded to Elliot Cadeau. And Elliot Cadeau, for a bit of a history lesson, last year was at North Carolina. Obviously, North Carolina is a great program. They were like an 11 seed last year, so they weren't that great last year. Elliot Cadeau could not hit a three-pointer last season, to the extent that you can watch the film. They would leave him wide open. His defender, they would put like a big man on him. They wouldn't even put a guard. They put a big on him and have the big play in the paint so that the big could rim protect. And they were like daring Elliot Cadeau to shoot the three, and he would typically shoot it and just brick it every single time. This year for Michigan, he shot like 40% from three, and he's been confident all season with it. He steps into his three pointers, he drills
Yeah.
them. Everybody in the world told Elliot Cadeau last year that he was terrible and would never be able to do this, and he won Most Outstanding Player in this tournament. That's just a very impressive, very heartwarming, cool story for him.
Yeah. And I mean, what a great bracket. I know
Yeah,
they're talking about maybe expanding it in the coming
yeah, it's
future,
going to
but
happen.
now, I mean, we'll see how that goes. But what a great bracket for this year. What a great experience. But now we're going to get into something a little new. We're going to play a little game. I
Oh
know the
boy.
person. Campbell does not know the person. We're going to go 10 questions and a
Okay.
guess because
Okay.
there's kind of a lot of sports at IU. Yeah, I don't want to I don't want you to guess every other sport before this one and then only have
Okay.
one
And to
guess. So
confirm, this is an IU player.
this is an IU player.
Okay. My first
Yeah.
question is going to be, is it a current player?
Yes, it is a current player.
Okay. Um, is it a male?
Yes.
Okay. So now I can say he, not it. Um, is he on the football team?
He is.
Okay. So that limits it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he on offense?
He is.
Okay. Was that four questions?
Four.
Okay. Is he a offensive lineman?
No.
Okay. Is he a wide receiver?
No.
Okay. Is he a quarterback?
Yes.
Okay. Is he Josh Hoover?
It's Josh Hoover.
All
Josh
right.
Hoover has made his spring training debut. Clips are coming out. It's getting more hype for the IU football season. And
Mm-hmm.
as we get into this, we have a question from John Rieger asking about IU football.
Oh, great.
Hey, Gabe and Campbell. John Rager, PJ Professional. Curious about how the Hoosiers are going to do next year in football. You think they'll repeat as national champs?
So, repeat as national champs
Mm.
is the question.
Ooh.
And to me, this comes down to is Josh Hoover playing at a level that can facilitate this offense and
Mm-hmm.
manage what the defense gives him, which I believe will be a lot because I feel like this defense is going to be just as strong as it was last year
Yeah.
with people filling in holes. To me, this comes down to the offense, and to me, the offensive question comes with Josh Hoover.
I mean, absolutely. You know that I think there's a lot of faith that the receiving game is going to be quite solid again because you're returning Charlie Becker and you're bringing in Nick Marsh, who produced with terrible quarterback play at Michigan State. So you assume he can produce with good quarterback play. Well, we're assuming good quarterback play. You, I think there's some questions to be had about the running back room. But at the same time, though, I think IU fans can trust that Kobe Martin's going to be good because he was good when
Yeah,
in his reps last season. You're
yeah,
going to trust that Lee Beebe Jr. is going to potentially be able to be good coming off his, I believe it was ACL. So
I think so.
you're gonna trust that hopefully he hasn't lost his explosiveness and his pop, and that hopefully, hopefully he'll be able to produce for them. And then they like to have three running backs. You're gonna, I've heard a lot of buzz in spring practice that Turbo Richards has been performing really well and taking some of the number one reps for running back. So I think
Okay.
a Boston College transfer, Turbo Richards, you can shout out a lot for him. So I don't know if the running back room is really as much of a worry, even though it is very different from last season's.
Right.
The thing that, once again, like you said, it is quarterback. It lies with Josh Hoover, because I think there's not really necessarily a doubt that Josh Hoover will be in the upper half of quarterbacks in college football. I think everyone knows that he is talented and he's probably going to be solid. But is he going to be Curtis Rourke, or is he going to be Mendoza? Is the
Right.
question here. Where Curtis Rourke, very good quarterback, made the NFL, did quite well at IU,
Yeah.
but probably isn't going to be the player who's going to make game-changing winning plays in a national championship game like Mendoza
Right.
did, where
Right.
Mendoza is clutch and makes these game-winning, game-changing plays. I just don't really have an answer for if Hoover is going to be able to do that, because we just haven't seen it enough from him. He has a turnover issue at TCU, but so Mendoza had a turnover issue at Cal. So you
This
kind of
is true.
assume that Cignetti can use his magic with the Shanahan offense and hopefully find some way to counteract that. We know Josh Hoover can sling it, but is Josh Hoover going to have that like fourth quarter make a play when the team needs it factor? And I have no clue if he's going to have that factor. And I think you need that factor to win a national championship.
Yeah, and Cignetti said in a press conference after Josh Hoover's former coach at TCU made a comment on him. He said Josh met his two best friends when he first got here: a great defense and a good run game.
Mm,
And so Cignetti has belief in Josh Hoover, and I have no reason to distrust Cignetti on anything he has said, because he wins. Cool him,
yeah.
you know. And
And
like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no reason to doubt Cignetti. His resume speaks for itself. He will tell you about his resume also. He's not going to be shy about that. Um I I've had the ability to be able to write a piece on Charlie Becker, and Charlie
yes,
Becker in media availability recently um shouted out the fact that, cuz a large part of Charlie Becker's success last year was that he was roommates with Mendoza, and every day they would throw the ball around and they just had an elite chemistry connection. Josh Hoover, while IU wasn't the second Josh Hoover committed, he texted Becker, "Let's get to work once you get back." So obviously that was once you get back from
yeah,
going and winning the national championship, obviously. But the second they
yeah,
got back, they throw together every day. I know Becker right now has a little bit of injury problems with his hamstring.
mm,
It's not too concerning, but it will probably sideline him from like things like the spring game if you care a lot about that. But the they've been able to throw it around. I think they're working on building that connection. I hope that Hoover is also doing that with Nick Marsh and just all his receivers. I kind of trust that he is, because everything
right.
I've heard of him as a person, he is a great guy and he is super committed to this team's success.
Yeah, and something else that is really just heavily relying on the transfer portal, IU basketball, kind of in the trenches right now. They have one
Mm,
remaining talent left on the team. The rest have to scavenge, look for scraps.
yeah.
I mean, where do you look in this portal?
Yeah, I there's a guy I would hope that we're going to at least call, because we did have him here in Bloomington earlier this year, so we got to know the town. And that is PJ Haggerty, who's currently the number 5 guy in the portal. So this is a big money guy. He would probably want like $4 million in NIL from the portal. Like, he's going to want legit money. He was on a terrible Kansas State team last year, but he put up 23 points per game, and so in Big 12 play. And so we know he can. Maybe you lower the number of points per game if you're on a competitive team, but
Yeah,
you're probably still looking at 20 point per game score. And that is a guy you would want at IU, because you have to replace the entire starting lineup in the portal now. That's your mission. You have to fully do that. And you have
yeah,
to go out and find a guy who can just put up buckets. So I think just guys that I'm looking at that you can shout that out. That's PJ Haggerty, out of Kansas State. I think another guy in the portal would be a complete long shot. But out of Wisconsin, John Blackwell is legit awesome. 20-point per game scorer for Wisconsin last year. He is elite. Miles Byrd just committed to Providence, so that's off the table. But that would have been a good bucket for them to go get.
Right.
I also think outside of looking at these, looking for a guard who can go get a bucket, IU, one of their main problems last year was lack of like legitimate interior size.
Yeah.
So I think they need to go out, find a guy that's 7 foot tall or 6'11", just a legitimate presence. Great. Find a shot blocker. Find a guy who's a defensive presence in the paint, can rebound, and like even if he only scores 10 points a game, I want a stat line of like he gets 10 points, 9 rebounds, and like a block per game. That is, I
Yeah.
want somebody in the portal that can do that. A guy I am looking at right now, number 24 in the portal, Muhammad Silla from Georgia Tech. I think he's a very good defensive presence. You're just looking for anybody that can just come in and play. The main thing IU needs to do right now is they better have some funds raised. Because if you're bringing this many people in the portal, you're going to need at least $20 million in NIL at minimum, if not 30.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that we need to see if we have. And I mean, there has not been a lot of buzz yet, not a lot of visits being taken yet. We need to get some guys in the program soon.
The other thing is like how much pull does IU have right now in the
Yeah.
portal?
Mm-hmm.
Because there has been going on now probably like 4 years of just mediocrity
Mm-hmm.
to bad basketball.
Yeah, bubble
Where,
team for the last 4 years.
yeah, it's like how much pull does the Indiana name still have? I mean, the
Yeah.
history is all here, but you got to look at the present too, and that's what the transfer portal is for. Is to look at the present state of a program and be like, I don't want to be a part of that, and you leave. And that's what these guys are doing from the programs that they're already leaving. What is different about IU compared to the programs that they have? Now it could be closer to home for some of these guys. There
Mm-hmm.
could be better money here. There could be a better opportunity to start. But other than that, the coaching is kind of a question. The
Absolutely.
uh, the program development is in question.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, being able to win games is in question. This Indiana is just not quite at the spot where it was. Like even back when Trace Jackson Davis was here,
Mm-hmm.
like the team was still exciting and you wanted to watch, even though they weren't the number one seed ever. It was still that name and the ability to play was still enough. And at this point, are is it still enough to get people here?
Yeah, I don't think it is. And that's the thing is I think in the current college landscape, a lot of blue-blooded programs are learning this, that their name recognition doesn't matter as much as the coach you have and the money you have. Because back in the day when everyone couldn't offer money, you're like, well, I don't know, Minnesota. I'm Minnesota and I'm offering you a scholarship. And then Duke's like, I'm Duke and I'm offering you a scholarship. You're going to pick Duke. Let's be
Yeah,
honest, that's who you're picking.
yeah,
Versus nowadays, if you're like, I'm Minnesota, I'm offering you $4 million. I'm Duke, I'm
yeah,
offering you 2 million. All of a sudden, you have to look at Minnesota.
yeah,
So, and then let's say, and then a lot of that comes with once you get a good coach in the program that the boosters trust, the boosters will then raise up even more funds. The second
yeah,
your program starts having success with a coach, the boosters are going to find money that they have and commit it more to the program. Right now, that's what's happening with IU football is there's a coach that everyone trusts, and so the boosters are
mhm,
throwing more and more money at IU football. If Kurt Signetti's like,
yeah,
hey, I need another million from you guys, the boosters are going to find a way to raise that million. Versus basketball, I don't know if it has that right now. And that is really my concern for this portal is how much money is IU's boosters in the NIL department actually willing to spend on a team that they just don't have faith in right now. I don't think they have much faith in DeVries. I haven't lost all my faith in DeVries, but I
yeah,
don't think the boosters have any faith in DeVries with how that season ended last year. And there's going to have to be something that changes really quick here for IU, or else you're heading to another coaching carousel the next season.
Yeah. The worst place to be is in a coaching carousel because what that does is it opens up the portal and then the cycle
Yeah.
just restarts
It just
again
starts
and
all
again.
over again.
And so you have to be sure that DeVries is the guy or is not the guy because if DeVries is not the guy, might as well do it now when you've only got one guy on the roster, and then you don't have to waste that second cycle. But if you have the belief that DeVries is that guy, which he has a resume, he's a good
Hmm.
coach.
Yeah.
He's proven himself to be able to win games. But if you have that belief, you need to stick with him for more than 2 years. And I don't know if the fan base or the boosters are ready to stick with him for more than 2 years if success doesn't come.
If they don't make the tournament next year, I think he is gone. And that's just the reality of the world he is in. Is this program has expectations, even if sometimes the expectations are too high, where I don't
Yeah,
think the expectation should be winning a national title next year. But I do think the expectation better be making a 76 team tournament now, is what it is next year. You better make that tournament, and you probably better win a game in that tournament. As I use like you should be in
yeah,
the top 32 teams in college basketball, which is winning one game in the tournament is top 32 teams. That's where
yeah,
you should be. You got to be in that range.
yeah. I agree with you. I think there's just so many question marks on this team, and this is also kind of a similar problem that's happening in Indiana baseball. Baseball is was on a 5 game losing streak.
Hmm.
They just fixed that problem. But other than that, I mean, this team isn't looking fantastic. I think the last time we talked about them, they had just lost to Indiana State. So
Yeah.
then they go get swept in Nebraska, but Nebraska's a good team. You can
Nebraska's
let that
good.
one go. Nebraska's number 24 at the time of playing, and then they lose to Evansville in
And you
11 innings.
and Gabe, I can't let that one go. I
You
just can't.
can't let that one go.
Because there is a legitimate thing that could happen here for Indiana football or Indiana baseball. I mean, pardon, Indiana football would never do that. Um, Indiana baseball might lose. I know they beat Ball State. They might still lose to Ball State later in the season. They have another game with them in Muncie. They might have a season where they lose to all three of the like D tier Indiana schools. And that's
Yeah,
just not okay with me. I'm not okay with that. That is cause for firing. That is cause to clean house and get a whole new team in here. This is not a place you want to be as a program. I know that now their last 4 games, they've won 3 of the last 4. Um, and I've looked closely at all these games. They're not facing good teams. Rutgers is terrible. You should have swept Rutgers. You lost the game to Rutgers. That's not impressive to win 2 out of 3. It's not impressive to do that. It is impressive to sweep them and dominate all 3. You dominated 2 of the games, but what did you do in the second game? You blew a late lead, which is the story with IU all season long, is they keep blowing these late leads. That's what they did against Evansville to lose. Ball State, I will give them the credit to. They didn't blow a late lead. They gave up 4 runs in the first inning. Then they scored 4, and they didn't get another run till the 7th inning. Now, they never gave up any more runs to Ball State. So I would like to shout out the one bright spot on this team in terms of one game. Their
yeah.
bullpen played great against Ball State, and I would shout that out. Everyone that pitched in the bullpen came out, gave up nothing to Ball State all game. The starter did not do that. But
Yeah.
the only reason they won this game, the 7th inning, Gabe, there
Yeah.
was an error. They didn't get
Uh,
an earned run in the 7th inning. There was an
oh wow.
error that caused 2 runs. Ball State's third baseman missed a throw to first. It allowed a guy to score. This was a 2 out, so it allowed a guy in to score at home, and it allowed that guy to reach base, who then would eventually get around the bases and score himself.
Yeah.
That would not have happened if they got that out, and who knows what would have happened in extra innings if that's what the game went to. Um,
Oh man.
this is not an impressive team. There needs to be change with IU baseball, and I think there will be the second this season is over. I think they're going to let him finish the season, but I think the second the season is over, you're looking at a completely new coaching staff.
Yeah, and this weekend, it's a series against Maryland.
Yeah.
If there is an embarrassing loss to Maryland, this only gets more cemented in what are we doing
Yeah.
territory. Uh,
I've tried to run the exercise of what would IU have to do to finish the year so that coaches could keep their jobs, and I think it's like you have to win like 75% of your remaining games. Like you have to like
yeah,
really improve drastically, which is not a thing I think they can do. So
yeah.
I
So
don't see this
they
happening.
go Maryland, Indiana State, Evansville,
Yeah,
Abilene Christian,
so winnable.
All-State, Iowa,
Yeah,
Louisville, Northwestern,
yeah.
Purdue, and Illinois. That's who
Not
they
a
have
ton of
left.
great teams in that schedule. You can beat those teams. I just
Yeah,
don't have faith in IU baseball to do that. They're not very good. They will not win more than 50% of these games. I just don't think they will. I hope they will. I would love them to. I've just lost my faith in this IU baseball team.
yeah, yeah. I think if the way you were talking, well, what you were talking about was what do they need to do to win all of these? I think you need to win the series of every last one of these
Yeah.
games to keep your job.
And you can't lose to an Evansville who you face again. You cannot get swept by Evansville. You cannot lose to an Indiana State who you face again. You cannot get swept by Indiana State. You can't lose to Ball State. You just can't lose to them at all. You can't
Exactly.
lose to Abilene Christian. Those are must wins. Then the
Yeah,
other ones you have to win those series. So the other one, the Big Ten ones, you can go 2 and 3. But those small schools that are clearly inferior to you, you have to win.
yeah, yeah. And well, the other side of this is IU softball is
Yeah,
really just having a great season. They've gotten up to 10 losses, but they have 28 wins.
yeah,
They're 7-5 in conference. They are really just having a good season, and it's a nice change of pace. I mean, from the stretch that football ends and basketball has started until here, there is a lot of bad programs, but IU softball is not one of them. They are doing terrific. Uh, they're they're just winning games that they should. They lost the series to number 9 UCLA, but I mean, other than that, they are winning uh, every game that they should. They're winning. They're keeping it close in games that maybe they should be losing, and it's just great for them to be able to have these wins on their record.
yeah. And the huge test is this weekend, starting in an hour and a half. Actually, is the softball series at home against Purdue, your arch nemesis, who is 26-12. Very similar record to what you are. They've done a lot of very similar things all season in terms of like they're beating the opponents they should. They're not necessarily getting major upsets, but they're just winning games. They're having a good record, having a good strong season. Very similar team. You have to win 2 out of 3. And I mean, we'd all love them to go sweep Purdue. That is what we want, obviously.
Yeah,
The goal is you never have a goal of losing a game, but you need to at least go win the series against your rival.
yeah, yeah. And then after that, they go on to Notre Dame, Louisville, Iowa. I mean, the schedule remaining is favorable. They can keep winning and maybe try to make the Big Ten tournament and go far in that, see where that gets you. But I mean, overall, this season has been great for IU
Yeah,
softball.
and before we're done talking about it, we've talked about these two girls a good amount already, but I'm just going to bring them up at least one last time. But for watch out in this Purdue series, if you're going to tune in, watch out for Allie Van Brandt, who is hitting 438 average, 1.351 OPS with 12 doubles, 5 triples, and 10 homers on the year. Uh, and she
Yeah,
also has 15 walks in the season. And then you follow that up with Parker Avery, who is hitting 404 in the year with a 1.387 at, OPS. Uh, and she has uh, eight eight doubles, 1 triple, 11 home runs. She doesn't score as often because she's not as good of a base runner as Van Brandt, who is an elite base runner. But just like as a whole, these two girls are just killing it for softball, and I expect them to continue to do so.
And the other thing is that, like, we're at the point in the season, averages have flattened out,
Oh yeah,
and they have flattened out at 400 and 430.
yeah,
These are incredible numbers. Allie Van Brandt has 130 at bats recorded, and she's at 438. This is just insane numbers to be putting up at this stage of the season. Like,
yeah,
I think when we first talked about them, she was at like 600, and we're like, stats will cool off, but 600 is a good start. They did not cool off that significant from that opening weekend to now.
yeah. It's
Just
pretty much the same.
reinforce those stats.
Yeah, no, she is legit. I believe there was a game against like Rutgers or something like that where she had a 3 home run game and they won because of it. Like they wouldn't have won without her in those 3 home runs. She's just been awesome all season. I think these girls are both going to continue to do so. They're a large part of the reason that IU is having such a successful season, and I do think they need to be shouted out.
Yeah. And the other thing that I will shout out before we move on, or we're gonna move on, but before we move on to our next scheduled thing, IU is playing number 3 UCLA in water polo in
Whoa!
their conference tournament. This game will probably not go well, but the IU water polo has had a terrific season. They really just went 15-9, 1-5 in conference, but that's expected. They are in a very tough conference. It's
Yeah,
with the West Coast teams. They they put on a show for their last home game. I was in attendance against Arizona State. They lost 13-15. Absolutely an electric game. Uh, what a season for them. But other
yeah.
than that, we can start talking the
Before we
NFL
move on,
draft.
though, Gabe, I would
Oh,
like to
oh,
shout out,
oh.
am I the problem when watching IU softball? Because the one time I go to the game, they just look like one of the worst teams ever. So now I get Stanford's really good, but when I went, they didn't
Yeah,
shoot. Like they just didn't they didn't put up shots. So it just didn't look like a winning strategy to not shoot the ball. But maybe I was the problem. That might have been my bad.
I think it was your bad, actually. Yeah, I think that it was on all
Okay.
on you.
Yeah. I'll continue to not show up to water polo games.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're the curse. We don't
Yeah.
want that over there.
Yeah.
But Indiana football this past season was terrific. We talked a little bit about that with John Rager's question.
Yeah.
Uh, Indiana football is moving on to the draft. Now it's under 2 weeks because yesterday is 2 weeks. So now we're 13 days away from one of my
Absolutely.
favorite days of the whole year. Fernando Mendoza. He might be 1-1.
I
He
think he
might be.
is. I don't
I,
even
I
think it's might. I think it is.
I think he's 1-1.
I
Omar
think if
Cooper
you placed
flying up forwards.
I think if you placed $1 down for Fernando Mendoza to be the number 1-1, I think you would win like a penny. You wouldn't win much. Like
Yeah,
this is a surefire thing. Fernando Mendoza will be a Raider. Um and he will not be at the draft because largely due to his mother's health
yes,
status currently. He'll be enjoying the moment with his family, which good for him. Enjoy the
yeah,
moment in Miami with your family. I think he obviously would have attended the draft had his mom been able to attend the draft and then his whole family would show up. But
right,
that's not the scenario they're in. So let hope his mom can get better and he can enjoy that moment in Miami. I don't
yeah,
know how much more there is to talk about Fernando Mendoza, though, at the draft because he is going 1-1, and there's not really
right,
a topic with that. I think the next guy you can bring up is Omar Cooper, who on Tankathon's big board is number 24. He
yeah,
is right in that, like, probably going to be a borderline first round, maybe early second if he slips draft pick.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Omar Cooper showed off this season. Surratt got out with a couple games. Omar Cooper did go down in the Big Ten championship game,
Yeah.
but other than that, he was relatively healthy the whole season. He picked up a lot of slack. He had 937 yards,
Woo!
13 touchdowns, 13.6 per reception. I mean, this is good stats there. And he is such an interesting NFL prospect because he is a little undersized. He's 6 foot 199, but also NFL teams have begun to like the smaller receiver, to
Yeah.
like more of the route runner, to like more of that slot guy because they have started to switch more to the spread offense that has that person. Now, like teams that are similar to, I'd say, the 49ers and the Steelers that run these big sets might not be the fit for someone like Omar Cooper, but there's teams out there that would absolutely take him, yeah, in a heartbeat. I just don't know if those teams need that slot receiver enough for it to
Mm.
be a first round pick.
So I understand the where that's the like undersized argument,
Yeah,
but at the same time, man, does he not go down easy for being undersized.
yeah,
He is a running
yeah.
back, basically, with once he gets the ball. He breaks tackles, he makes men miss. You don't bring him down easy. I guess we'll have to see if that translates to the NFL. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to do there, but you assume it will translate. And I think that's an ability people love out of him. He obviously has difficult catch ability, which all of
Yeah, it does.
IU's receivers do, but he definitely does for the one Penn State catch that everyone will remember forever. He, which I guess wouldn't be an NFL catch, but still shows that he can make a difficult catch.
I mean, yeah,
He just was awesome all season, especially with the ball in his hands. I think if I had to guess, he will end up, I would assume at least, I think he will end up being in that first round. And I just, yeah, I think you'd have to look for like a team that just is receiver needy. Like, I don't even know if it's necessarily the right fit, but you look at a team like, let's say, Buffalo. Buffalo's
mm,
picking at pick 26. They need receivers. I know
yeah,
they made the DJ Moore acquisition, but they still need receiver. Like, that's
yeah,
not like a they don't just not need it anymore. There's a lot of teams that could use one. I don't see him leaving the first round.
yeah. And to me, one guy that I think could slip into the first round, D'Angelo Ponce,
Yeah.
underrated by many, but the tape just shows he is an absolute freak. And a corner needy team could easily maybe move back in the first round and take him,
Yeah.
and I think he would still be there, and like he would
Oh yeah.
be a guy. I mean, just what an athlete he is.
No, he is so impressive. He what is going to really help him is the fact that he jumped higher than anyone else at the combine. Because of the fact that he is 5'8.5 inches. Like that's not very
Yeah,
tall. He is very
no,
short for a cornerback. He with that height, you typically can't play anything except for nickel. That's typically what you're like reserved to. But
yeah,
he can jump with almost anyone. He showed that he can guard a guy like Jeremiah Smith.
he did.
I think things like that are going to give him key a key opportunity to be a top guy in this draft. I don't
Yeah,
necessarily see him going first round. I think he'll probably be early on day 2.
yeah,
But like if you told me he was going to, I wouldn't be completely surprised. Like it is a possibility for sure. I think if there's going to be a third IU player in the first round, it is him 100%. I
yeah,
think he's going to be a great pro. I think he's going to be a steal. Um just like an absolute steal for somebody. I think he's probably a top 15 talented player in this draft, and he's going to be
yeah.
drafted way beyond 15. So you're getting an absolute steal.
Yeah, and another guy that could really be a steal that I'm seeing is really just not rated very highly, Aiden Fisher. He
Mm,
put on a performance for the entire season. He was such a great leader of the defense. He was the green dot, 97
absolutely.
tackles, 4.5 sacks, pass deflections, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble. He could do anything there. Now he might be maybe undersized, you could say 6'1", 230, but like
Maybe a
you
little
don't
short.
maybe a little short, not undersized, but
Yeah.
short. Uh, but I mean, he's still really good size, and that could be your weak side linebacker, he could float up to me to like fourth, fifth round and be one of those guys
Oh
that
yeah.
just makes a name for himself. And we're like, man, he went to the fourth round. What are we doing?
Yeah, I think he's great value. He's a guy I want the Colts, as a Colts fan, to go out and get. Now, part of that is also you want the Colts to draft at least a guy from Indiana because that's just cool, and you
Yeah,
can't pass up on that opportunity. But also, like the Colts don't have linebackers, basically.
yeah,
Like, I mean, they technically do, just not ones people know of, other than Jermaine Pratt. That's probably the linebacker people know the name of, and he's not that great. So it's definitely a position of need for the Colts. I think Aiden Fisher, I think he's going to be a great pro. I don't think he's necessarily going to be an all pro player necessarily, but I think he's just going to be like a always good starting linebacker for like a 15-year career in the NFL. I think he's good for
yeah.
just like a long career where he's always a starter, maybe not the best player on your team, but he's not a liability either.
Yeah, I mean, this team was just filled with so much talent. It was really a blessing to be able to come here in our first year and
Oh
watch
yeah.
this team happen, watch everything unfold from the first play of defense where was it Indiana State? Was that the first game?
I think that's right.
Old
No, no,
Dominion.
no, no, no.
Old
Old
Dominion.
Dominion. Sorry, Old
where
Dominion.
the first play it's a read option and the quarterback takes it to the house and you're like, man, what is this team doing? And
Yeah.
then Mendoza doesn't throw more incompletions than touchdowns for like 4 or 5 games.
Pretty much
Uh,
every game it felt like.
I mean, what a year!
well, well, and the
What a
thing was
legacy!
Mendoza was so inaccurate also in game 1. Like he was missing throws in game 1 and everyone
Yeah,
was I was like a little bit concerned. I was like, did we get like is this guy not as good as everyone said he was going to be? And then game 2 on it was like, oh, never mind, he's pinpoint accuracy. So,
yeah. I mean, the memories made from this year are just they're gonna be put up in the College Football Hall of Fame.
yeah.
Like this is a year to remember. I mean, I don't know if this could ever get repeated again. It's certainly a lot easier with the transfer portal, but the
Mhm.
losingest program in history in 2 years has turned around to be the champions, and that's
Yeah.
just incredible. But I think that is going to be all for our show today. Thanks for watching Hoosier Weekly. If you like the show, hit the heart button on the Mic'd Up app to get notified every time we go live. And if you're watching us elsewhere, thanks for tuning in. Next time, join us on the Mic'd Up app, and you get to ask questions like John Rieger did.